Hello there, thank you for choosing Citizen TV on this 31st day of December 2025. It is the very last day of the year here in Kenya and in East Africa. We are just under 3 hours, or to be exact 3 hours to the new year, the 1st of January 2026. But there are some countries that are ahead of us. We'll be looking at some of them as they ushered in the new year, starting with New Zealand. Let's just watch a bit of the fireworks that they have been witnessing tonight. And of course, some of the countries that have already gone ahead of us is New Zealand, Australia, Taiwan, Hong Kong, of course, many parts of Asia, and soon to be other parts of the world. And of course, like I told you, we're waiting for the moment of Kenya. And here on Citizen TV, we're hosting the Vuka Mwaka show that will be ushering in the new year. But first, here are the top stories here in studio.
Now, it is alarming to see that the government unashamedly directing principals of day secondary schools that the capitation from January will be 12,000 shillings from the 22,000 shillings and 244 shillings that has been there before.
The 9,000 question. Opposition leaders accuse government of plotting backdoor fee increment for day secondary schools amid denial by the education CS.
Kama ingekuwa kuna hiyo reforms, there's no need wangeke hiyo shule alafu watoto wachague shule, waambie kuna hiyo reforms, kuna wengine wamechaguliwa, board imekataa watoto shule, so I'm disappointed. Na mtoto aendi shule.
Not yet satisfied, parents search for cluster 1 schools as close to 1 million learners chose 20 top senior schools.
ID ambayo wanatembea kwa inji na kushika upande moja bila usalama. Hiyo ndio tunakataa kama Wamasai.
Security officers are targeting us. Members of the Maa community accuse police of discrimination in ongoing security operation. Grief of families who lost loved ones during protest against the 2024 finance bill, a reporter's experience. Good evening. Our sign language interpreter is Yula Nzala. We begin with a story that there is confusion over day secondary school fees a few days to the reopening of learning institutions. With less than a week to the reopening of schools, confusion reigns in the rate of school fees to be charged by day secondary schools across the country. Kiharu Member of Parliament Ndindi Nyoro has questioned the Minister of Education over a circular it republished on guidelines for transition to senior schools back in November that would require parents to pay up to 9,000 shillings in school fees. Education Cabinet Secretary Migos Ogamba, however, says the ministry will publish a new circular this Friday to correct the confusion, even as parents prepare their learners for the start of the new academic year.
With schools set to reopen in under a week, confusion continues to mount on the way forward for day secondary school learners. Government issued guidelines for implementation of senior school education handed to principals in November are at the heart of the confusion. Kiharu Member of Parliament Ndindi Nyoro cites the guidelines warning that parents could be forced to raise 9,374 shillings to keep their children in school. Nyoro says the ministry's failure to clarify the way forward has principals working on new fee structures based on a Gazette notice attached to the November guidelines directing them to incorporate the additional 9,374 shillings into new fee structures.
Now, it is alarming to see that the government unashamedly directing principals of day secondary schools that the capitation from January will be 12,000 shillings from the 22,000 shillings and 244 shillings that has been there before, and directing that the burden of 9,374 shillings will now be shouldered by parents.
The ministry, in a quick rejoinder, has insisted that the fee structure for January will remain intact based on the previous circular of 2019 that schools have been using. The Cabinet Secretary for Education, Julius Ogamba, insisted that the government will continue supporting free-day senior school learners to the extent of 22,244 shillings per learner per year, refuting the claims that the government has authorized the imposition of additional fees. The ministry in a statement further says, and I quote, under the approved implementation framework, boarding schools in major urban centres will charge up to Kenya shillings 53,554. All other boarding schools will charge up to 40,000 shillings 535, while special needs schools will charge 12,790. These amounts remain unchanged and no school is permitted to exceed them, end of quote.
In order to put this matter to rest, we are going to issue another circular by this Friday, just to clarify so that there is a clean alignment and there's no more room for speculation on whether school fees has been raised or not.
The Kiharu lawmaker has also raised concerns over delays in absorbing junior secondary school JSS interns, accusing the government of retreating from its own targets on teacher recruitment, further straining schools. Jubilee Deputy Party Leader Dr. Fred Matiang'i sees it as a lack of priorities.
The argument of government that there is no money to confirm the 20,000 JSS interns into permanent and pensionable terms is an incompetent answer to our brothers and sisters.
Can't we make sacrifices from some of these lodges that you are seeing around? You know, people moving around the country, doling out the money in millions and so on and so forth. Can we discipline ourselves and avail those resources to go to supporting our children?
Jimmy Mbogo, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Now thousands
applications. Nairobi School, which can take 900 learners, received close to 50,000 applications. Mongori Mixed Secondary School in Nyamira, with a capacity of 900, received over 40,000 applications. Other schools that received over 30,000 applications against a capacity of between 400 and 1,000 are Pangani Girls, Friends School Kamusinga, Moi Forces Academy, Jamhuri High School, the Kenya High, Alliance Girls, Nyakach Girls, Lugulu Girls, Lenana School, Kabianga High School, Butere Girls, Kapsabet High School, St. Peter's Boys Mumias, Mangu High School and St. Joseph's Boys High School Kitale. The overwhelming demand for the few schools triggered a revision exercise where parents and learners were asked to change their choices.
We did the revision, 211,000 were approved. The others that were not approved were declined for reasons that some of the schools that they wanted to move to were already full, or there was an issue with their cluster subjects in terms of the pathways that they had chosen.
During the revision exercise, data from the Ministry of Education shows that more than 120,000 learners still selected only 10 schools that are considered top schools. The schools selected by majority during the review are Nairobi School, Alliance Girls, Alliance Boys, Kenya High, Pangani Girls, Maryhill, Mangu, Lenana, Muranga and Kapsabet Boys. As senior school reporting date draws closer, some parents whose children had been selected to Starehe Boys and Girls Center are agitated following a review of the same on the system.
All along, that's what we were waiting for the letter to come for downloading. But now, surprisingly, the very same night when the portal was about to be closed, we accessed the portal only to realize it's reading that it's supposed to go to a different school, in this case, Thika High.
Tumeambiwa Starehe board, the board of members wa Starehe ndio walireject watoto kwa sababu hatukuwa kulikuwa na April selection.
Kama ingekuwa hivyo wangeweka hiyo shule hapo. Kama ingekuwa kuna yellow forms, there's no need wangeweka hiyo shule alafu watu wachague shule, waambiwe kuna yellow forms, kuna wengine wamechaguliwa, board imekataa watoto shule, so I'm disappointed.
The Starehe Board of Management, however, is blaming the Ministry of Education over what they say is trying to force a selection on them, which is against the internal processes. Education CS Migos Ogamba told Citizen TV that the issue will be sorted out.
Venye huko ametuambia lazima tungoje tarehe 6 tujaze nini tena, kwa sababu for Starehe they are considering the less au watu wenye wako needy, and for my case my niece is an orphan.
All of us cannot fit in the C1 schools, and there are people who come from underprivileged backgrounds and arid areas, and we do respect that. But now what we are finding very problematic, if you know you don't want to give me something, don't tease me. Don't give me a position only to take it away later.
The CS is calling on parents to embrace the new pathways. Emily Chebet, Citizen TV.
President William Ruto has reiterated his plan to transform Kenya to first world status beginning next year, saying the journey will kick off in earnest in 2026. The president, who gave his New Year message address in Eldoret, pointed out alcohol and drug abuse as key impediments to the journey of transforming Kenya, declaring a national crackdown on abusers in 2026.
His New Year message was loaded with plans to realize his Singapore dream to transform Kenya to first world status. President William Ruto, who addressed the nation from State Lodge Eldoret, started by reminding the nation of his targets for the economic transformation agenda.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's be clear about our goals. We are committing ourselves to a measurable national mission. Number one, to cut the number of Kenyans living below the poverty line by half, lifting millions into dignity and opportunity. To cut unemployment by half.
President Ruto outlining his New Year resolution for Kenya, saying 2026 will be the most consequential in the ambitious 5 trillion shilling journey.
In this new year, we will complete the Talanta Sports Complex, ready to host major international sporting events, including the 2027 AFCON. We will also complete the state-of-the-art Bomas International Convention Center.
The process to turbocharge the transformation will also include the fast-tracking of the construction of the Rironi-Mau Summit Road, among other key projects central to the journey.
We will accelerate the tarmacking of the 6,000 kilometers of roads already contracted and underway across the country, including the Rironi-Mau Summit Road, which will be completed and open for traffic by mid-2027. We will launch the Galana Kulalu Dam, whose contract was signed yesterday. We will also begin the construction of a modern, world-class airport at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport.
And the greatest gift you've given us as our leader, Mr. President, in 2025, is the crossing of ranks between us who are on your side in 2022 and your political opponents who were in Azimio la Umoja.
The head of state announcing measures to address an alarming rate of alcohol and substance abuse, which he says is a national security threat, which may delay the journey to Singapore.
We will establish a strengthened anti-narcotics unit within the Directorate of Criminal Investigations with operational capacity comparable to the Anti-Terrorism Police Unit.
President Ruto asking parents to curb the early stages of alcohol abuse.
We cannot afford to delegate our children to others. We must guide them, protect them, and intervene early before addiction takes hold.
Emmanuel Toh, Citizen TV.
And indeed, we're inching closer to the new year, just about 2 hours 45 minutes to New Year in Kenya. At least 31 firearms have been surrendered in the ongoing security operation in Transmara, with the amnesty period expiring on Tuesday. Members of the Maasai community have come out to protest what they term as an operation that appears to be targeting one side, with most of those arrested linked to the recent Transmara clashes. And as Crispin Otieno now reports, security commanders have dismissed those claims, insisting the operation is aimed at curbing insecurity and holding all perpetrators accountable regardless of community.
The security operation in Transmara has been going on for several weeks across 14 areas identified as hotspots following deadly unrest in Angata Barikoi. Security agencies say they have recovered a total of 31 illegal firearms since the operation was officially launched.
Hizo bunduki tunataka zirudi. So far tumepokota bunduki 31, AK 9 G3 moja na ile bunduki bandia 8.
As security teams continue with the operation, Maasai residents from the Syria side have criticized how the exercise is being conducted, claiming it is one-sided. Speaking in Lolgorian early Wednesday, residents allege that the plainclothes officers are following them into markets and arresting young men at random, a move they say is breeding fear and trauma.
Askari CID ambayo wanatembea kwa inji na kushika upande moja bila usalama. Hiyo ndio tunakataa kama Wamasai.
Sisi tumelaniwa kwa sababu watu wetu tunakuja kuandikiwa mabunduki. Tumeambiwa mtoe mabunduki, tumetoa, tumepeana. Hawajatoa hata moja.
Hatutaki CID anatuchunguza hata ndani ya soko. Hatuwezi kubali. Tutaanza tukianza kupigana hapa, CID hatutaki atuchunguke ndani ya soko ya ng'ombe. Tujaipata kitu kama hiyo.
Residents from the Syria area further claim that after the peace meeting convened by the Narok County Commissioner, some of those who spoke are facing intimidation and are being followed by police officers.
Vita alianza, wakasemekana tutoa amani, tukatoa amani. Sasa tunaona watu ya pande moja tu ndio anashikwa. Tunashangaa ni nini hii? Sasa tunataka tuambie serikali kama amani ndio inatakikana, basi waje kushikwa watu ya pande moja.
The claims have, however, been dismissed by security commanders in Lolgorian, who maintain that the operation is purely aimed at restoring peace and security and not targeting any particular community. Meanwhile, security officials have urged residents currently living in displacement camps to return to their homes, especially as schools prepare to open.
Ingependelea si vizuri wakae hapo kwa sababu amani imerudi. Naomba hao wanakaa kwa mashule waanze kurudi nyumbani kwa sababu amani imerudi.
As Kenya prepares to cross into a new year, residents of Transmara continue to live under dawn to dusk curfew. Crispino, TNO Citizen TV.
A family in Waruku, Nairobi is demanding justice after their kin was allegedly assaulted by a police officer and unknown persons in the area on the 21st of December. Eli Kipkosgei claims he was assaulted by an officer attached to Muthangari police station over an unpaid bill for alcoholic drink, which left him with serious head, hand, leg and back injuries. Police have dismissed the allegation, saying Kipkosgei was a victim of mob justice and that the matter is still under investigations, as Gatete Njoroge now reports.
We meet Elias Kipto assisting his brother Eli Kipkosgei move from his hospital bed to the washroom. The urge to answer the call of nature is a nightmare for the pool operator. His life took a drastic turn 10 days ago while in a bar within Waroko area. A friend's call after work to join him for a drink turned tragic when it was time to go home.
Kwenda kutoka nje nikashikwa tai na karao. Nikaambiwa hujalipa bili. Nikamuuliza bili ya nini? Akaniambia hii bili hadi nadaiwa 600, nimekaa hapa ndani nikilewa. Nikaambia hapana, mimi hata sijakunywa pombe. Pombe yenyewe nimekunywa tu ni ka class kadogo tu ya 60 bob. Nikaambia hata kama hiyo nimekunywa imeshalipiwa. Jamaa akanirudisha tena by force ndani. Akanipiga kofi, akachukua simu yangu kwanza.
The assault continued inside a toilet where he claims a police officer attached to Mudhangari police station was involved. After about 15 minutes, he was taken outside where more individuals joined in the attack. He sustained 7 stab wounds, deep cuts on the legs, facial injuries. He also sustained serious injuries after assailants tried to force nails into his buttocks.
Kichwa wanikatakata na fizu. Ukienda kwa mgongo wanipiga na mshumari. Mkono wanipiga na hizo mpini za jembe. Alafu miguu sije nini walipasua nayo kwa miguu chini.
He was left unconscious and dumped in a drainage trench where the brother found him after receiving an alert from a neighbor. What followed was the search for emergency medical care. He was rushed to Eagle Nursing Home Kangemi and recalled the events of the fateful day on Christmas Day.
Nataka ndugu yangu apate justice sababu chenye hao watu walimfanyia ni unyama. Ni unyama hapo sahi hata wamama wenyewe wako hapo wanatendiwa na vijana sababu si ati ni watu wageni, ni watu wanajulikana hapo.
Kipto has reported the matter at Mudhangari police station and filed a complaint at IPOA offices where he has been issued with a reference number. IPOA investigators are expected to visit the victim on Friday.
Sahi nangangana mambo ya appeal, kungangana security ya ndugu yangu, nangangana na maisha zingine sababu after hapo tuko na maisha, tuko na manyumba, tuko na familia inatutegemea, tuko na mambo zingine.
Kabete Police Commander Kivinda Kilonzo confirmed the matter is under investigations and dismissed the allegations that a police officer was involved, insisting it was first reported as an assault case before preliminary investigations showed it was a case of mob justice. Gatete Njoroge, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
A Kenyan teacher has been nominated for a prestigious global award following his transformative impact on learners and his community. Shalom Maweo Sila, a physics and chemistry teacher at St. Francis Misiani Girls in Kangundo Sub-County, Machakos County, is part of the 50 teachers globally nominated for the 2026 Teachers Global Awards, which are set to be held in February 2026 in Dubai. If he wins the global award, teacher Sila will pocket about 130 million shillings, as Safina Chengoma now reports.
Shalom Maweu Sila is a physics and chemistry teacher at St. Francis Misiani Girls in Kangundo Sub-County of Machakos County. He has been nominated among top 50 teachers globally at the 2026 Teachers Global Awards, which are set to be held in February in Dubai, a global teacher award that recognizes teachers whose work has had transformative impact on learners and communities.
This came as a motivation after being a finalist in the African Union Continental Best Teacher Awards, and also after recognition on the World Teachers Day by the Teacher Service Commission.
As a passionate educator, Teacher Sila has pioneered innovation, digital learning and girl-focused STEM empowerment that has reshaped education in the rural parts of Machakos County, which saw him bag the highly coveted USA Arizona Sire Tech Award of recognition for championing STEM education for the girl child.
As I was working, I was just giving it my best to help the girl child, especially in STEM subjects, and contributing to the pedagogical development process in our country, Kenya, through the Teacher Service Commission. So yes, looking at my overall contribution in all the fields, I deserve the award.
During the COVID-19 pandemic, Teacher Sila played a historic role in safeguarding learning continuity across Kenya. As one of the earliest adopters and promoters of remote learning, he collaborated with 300 volunteer teachers to deliver nationwide online lessons.
We began with 2 learners in the first week through trial and error, but by the 17th week we had hit over 10,000 learners.
Owing to the program's success, the government of Kenya adopted it as a formal learning continuity model and selected Teacher Sila as a national master trainer and champion teacher for remote learning methodologies. If he wins the global award, Teacher Sila will pocket a total of $1 million, which is about 129 million Kenyan shillings.
The very first thing that I'll do is build and equip a maker space in my school so as to advance STEM learning in my school.
As a school, we are very proud of Mr. Sila, and we really appreciate his untiring effort to achieve the best both for himself and his learners.
If he wins, the father of 2 will secure a prestigious place at the International League of Accomplished Educators. The possibility leaves his family elated.
For this year, he has done so much, and we are really proud as a family.
I wish him good luck, and I hope he wins because it will really inspire me more.
Safina Chengoma, Citizen TV.
You have a nice flower, looking smart.
A very inspiring story in which teachers Sila the very best in the new year. At the same time, former Mungiki leader Maina Jenga has called on Mount Kenya leaders across rival political camps to close ranks and form a united political front. Jenga urged leaders to abandon divisive politics, warning that infighting could destabilize the region politically. He was speaking during the burial of his father, Stephen Kamunya, in Ngarwa, Laikipia County, as Melita Oletenges now tells us.
Mount Kenya is at the center of political turbulence, with leaders from the region taking divergent political paths, threatening to split the vote and weaken the region's influence. Speaking during the burial of his father, Stephen Kamunya, who died earlier this month, aged 101, politician Maina Jenga said he would be a unifying force for the Mount Kenya region.
Kuna wale wamesema tutafute sijui president, tutafute deputy wake, tutafute Rigathi, tutafute Uhuru. Kazi ya chairman ni kutafuta kila mtu. Kanatiguo ni kutafuta kila mu. Wangapi wanasema tutafute wote?
Njenga had earlier this year openly declared his support for President William Ruto during a rally at Kafiroini grounds in Nyeri, a move expected to shake up the region's political calculations ahead of the 2027 general election. The burial also doubled as a political battleground, with leaders trading barbs over one-term versus two-term politics and the controversial sale of Safaricom shares.
How can you sell Safaricom, which is hosting the IEBC election data? You are going to compromise our election. You are going to compromise the election, the integrity of our election, the security of our election, the verifiability of our election.
Ati serikali iko na 35% shareholding kwa Safaricom. So akiambia watu ni Safaricom mzima inauzwa, ni kuonyesha hajui Kenya anasema. Kwa sababu kampuni iko na shareholding 100%. Na kama mtu anataka kuuza yake kidogo 35, juu wale wengine 65 hawauzi, haezi ulizwa na mtu yoyote.
Stephen Kamunya was eulogized by his family as a loving patriarch who laid a strong foundation in business, leadership and unity. Melita Oletenges, Citizen TV.
Police Inspector General Douglas Kanja has assured Kenyans that comprehensive security measures have been put in place to ensure a safe and peaceful transition into the new year. In Nairobi, Regional Commander George Seda says multi-agency operation will maintain law and order through the night. The deployment includes uniformed and plainclothes officers, K9 units and rapid response teams stationed at key hotspots. Areas under heightened surveillance include the Archives, River Road, Globe Roundabout, Uhuru Park and Uhuru Highway, locations known for large gatherings and increased activity during festivities.
We are here to do a rundown on our preparation in terms of the coverage of this important day. That is, we are crossing 1 year to the other year. The multi-agency approach, this is a one-stop shop. All agencies of security are all deployed. From intelligence, the DCI, the General Service, the APS, and all others, the GDs, we are all there. The slums are not also forgotten. The River Road, we have got people. When we go to Globe Roundabout, we have got people. The Kamkuju Roundabout, we have got people. The Chonabanane, we have got people. These are the areas, the bus station, we have got people. Uhuru Park, we have got people. We have got this along Uhuru Highway, we have got people. And critical to that, the government square. We have got officers manning.
And with that new message from the Nairobi Regional Command, you're taking a short break here on JKL. When we come back, we have more stories, but of course, also counting down to the new year with our VUCA Mwaka Party 2025 crossing over to 2026. We're back in a moment. It is what's coming up. The grave of families who lost loved ones during protests against the 2024 finance bill, a reporter's experience. Welcome back, and now to the ongoing series of My Year. The grief of families who lost loved ones during the protest against the 2024 finance bill still lingers, etched on their faces even a year later, as the commemorations of those events reopened old wounds. The year 2025 also provided an opportunity to shed light on the suffering of women battling cancer, alongside the struggles of families forced to live in floodwaters in Naivasha. Safina Cheng Oma revisits these events, revealing how she came face to face with those directly affected.
My name is Safina Cheng Oma, a news anchor and reporter with Citizen TV. I have been around these media streets for over 10 years, and I've spent most of those years telling stories that spark conversations and drive change, stories touching on human rights, social issues, governance, and health.
For many, this might appear like an ordinary surgery, but for patients who have battled with fistula in the society, this is actually what they need to get a new lease of life, to gain back their stolen dignity. My job exposes me to all sorts of circumstances, from positive and inspiring, and sometimes to the somberness and grief of tragedy. Let me give you a few that shaped my year. I remember a story I worked on when we were transitioning into 2025, Graves of Protest. It was about the June 2024 protest that had a great impact nationwide. A lot happened that day, including the invasion of Parliament. Several young people were killed, and I remember interacting with some of the affected families when they were still trying to process the news of losing their loved ones. And you can imagine meeting them in that very critical time. So I visit this family in Karambaini village in Kiambu County. So I get to this homestead when the news of the brutal killing of their son, Evans Kiratu Karobia, is still fresh. I meet his mother, still shattered.
Kifo cha Evans kilinipata kwa njia ingine mbaya sana.
So I'm here interviewing her, but I'm also sinking into the depth of her pain as she narrates how her 21-year-old son's life was cut short at the height of the Gen Z protests. She tells me that a good Samaritan rushed Evans to the hospital after he found him writhing in pain after he was hit by a tear gas canister on his private parts.
Alichukua video za Evans. Na juu niko nazo, unaweza hata ona huko ni hospitali Kenyatta, akiwa kwa ile kitanda, akianza akilia hapo na uchungu.
In that moment, I make a difficult request. Show me your son's grave. And we walk towards it, and suddenly things get from bad to worse. Standing next to her as she faced this unfortunate reality, I think for me was the most difficult part of this assignment. I was fully aware that I was a journalist chasing a story, but I'm also human, and so I held her through it. His family tried to push for justice, but they were met with the wrath of the security agencies who lobbed tear gas canisters at them and other affected families. You know, I've told a lot of stories that have exposed me to such raw pain, but this is one among those that are hard to forget. Some of those interviews kept running through my mind for months. I remember struggling packaging this story, sometimes even getting emotional voicing it. And it's unfortunate because even as the country moved on, and when we were marking the anniversary of the Gen Z protests in June 2025, the justice that these families longed for still remained beyond their reach, and it still is. I am a journalist, not in any way related to some of these families, but it dampens my spirit. The wheels of justice can sometimes be very, very slow.
Justice for Rex!
Take, for instance, the Rex Kanyeki Masai's case, the first victim to be felled, allegedly by a gun in the hands of a police officer. I mean, a snail pest inquest, coupled with a series of court sessions that are yet to deliver. At least for Rex's case, there is hope. But what about the other families who are still longing for justice? 2025 was not all doom and gloom. There were quite a few inspiring stories we told. As a health reporter, among the stories I interacted with was one that touched on breast cancer and the increasing demand of breast reconstructive surgery. I interacted with a lady called Ruth Wairimu, a breast cancer survivor who was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer, and her whole world came crashing down.
Nikiangalia watoto, mimi hapo ndo nilikuwa nalia. Kama niko na mtoto wako 13 years ama 12, nitamwacha akiwa 17. Kama huyu alikuwa 7 mdogo, alikuwa 7 years, nitamwacha akiwa 12. Kwa hivyo nitamwacha bado akiwa. Yaani nilikuwa nimeona mimi sasa yangu imeisha.
Well, Ruth underwent a series of counseling sessions to not only accept her diagnosis, but to commence treatment.
Nikafanya chemo, nikafanya radiotherapy, nikafanya hormonal therapy, nikafanya target therapy, nikamaliza zote.
Even after completing her treatment that was in December 2022, which saw her lose her right breast, Ruth discovered a suspicious lump on her left breast, which was confirmed cancerous, and she had to lose that one too. As a journalist, Ruth's story gave me a different perspective of the cancer story. But as a woman, it also reminded me to be grateful for the little things that we take for granted, including having breasts.
Kuna siku nimetoka na nilisahau kuvaa. Nikakimbia tu nikaingia gari. Kufika huko Thika Road, naangalia. What? Nilisahau kuvaa matiti. Bana, hiyo kitu ilinivunja roho.
Ruth underwent a breast reconstructive surgery, which experts were telling me is on high demand these days, and she's loving her new self.
Wakakuja wakajaza mali ilikuwa haijajaa vizuri na wakaweka nipples. Ingine wakaja, hata nilikuwa nashindwa watawekaje, lakini leo nimeona zinakaa tamu, zinakaa smart, zinakaa za mtoto, zinakaa poa yani.
We soldier on, telling the nation one story after another. One of the stories I'm staying close to is the rising water levels in the lakes in the country. I was recently in Kihoto to assess the impact of the floods on residents in that particular region. I remember we had to abandon our vehicle and start walking in the water, at times using boats to access homes and capture the damage for our audience, to at least get a chance to have a glimpse of the impact. You can imagine what my cameraman Hebron Kinyoda went through to capture the moment. I told you that 2025 has been quite eventful, especially for me, because I was on my journey to motherhood. And let me tell you something about the invisible juggling act of being a mother in waiting and at the front line as a storyteller. First of all, I'm part of a team that brings you the daily morning show Daybreak, which means that my mornings were crazy. To be on air by 6 a.m. sharp means you need to be up by about 4 a.m. And at times it took a miracle to get my pregnant body up at that time. Every day, I had to call myself to a meeting. Yani, kujita mkutano quite literally. All right, thank you so much for keeping it Citizen Television. We really appreciate your time and company. I think I should one of these days write a book about dressing for TV while expectant. I think that was among the most difficult things to do. You know, I was constantly afraid of the cyberbullying and the negativity. So this means that I had to keep myself in check, always looking for what to wear, thinking about everything strategically, including the color combination, the fitting, you know, trying to juggle the maze of fashion, trying to balance between aesthetics and comfort. I think for me that was not as easy as many people think out there. The other thing is the baby kicking without warning in the middle of an interview. And I had many of those episodes, some hilarious, some shocking. And in the mix of shock and confusion, as an anchor or a presenter, you are required to move on swiftly as if nothing happened. The interview has to continue. I remember how I narrowly escaped going into labor while on air. So I had this interview with Dr. Frank Njenga. It was my last interview. Oblivious of the fact that a few hours later, I was going to be rushed to the hospital to have my baby. Thursday morning, just when I was supposed actually to be on air cooking and, entertaining my audience with what we do every Thursday in What's Cooking, I was in the hospital holding my bundle of joy in my hands. I mean, a lot happened in between, but that's a story for another day. This profession has a lot of pressure, and that's why I commend all my colleagues. And it also takes good leadership and management and supportive colleagues, such as the ones I'm blessed to have, to make all this happen. And I do not take that for granted. It's such a gift.
Now, welcome back. You're still watching JKL, the very last edition of the year 2025. And still another story of my year. You rarely see them, yet they are some of the most hardworking members of every television broadcasting operation. They are the technical experts behind the lens that power news production in a newsroom. Here is a reflection on the year 2025 from the Citizen TV camera crew.
Jeshi ya baba, baba, sini wa baba, baba.
Tunataka Wakenya wawe kitu kimoja. Nyuma wako nyikega mondo wager Kenya.
I'm happy. Not only did I record history, but participated in the history making of a great man. It is through various footage that I filmed many policies which came up because of the late former Prime Minister. For example, during the IPC must go. It is true that that demonstration that the IPC went and some reforms were made. This is outside the IPC when Raila was tear-gassed, but he saw Jaron. This one now was during the demonstration.
This colleague of mine, his interest is down here. So we were on top of that public address system vehicle that the journalists were doing to cover specifically that motorcade of Raila. But so we went down. So those live bullets were firing, just passing above us, above our head. Luckily, no one was shot. To the exit at the quarry, but now that is where we found like the hell of smoke and I can call it the firepower from the police firing tear gas, water cannons, live bullets.
I saw them coming. I was on the other side and police started acting. throwing tear gas, and all was to try to repulse them or try to not to make them join this other crowd. And from where I was filming from, I could see, I sort of like there was a deliberate decision to target the journalists, because you could see they were aiming specifically to where the cameramen were, or that the public address vehicle. You could see that it was very clear. Even there was a video, or there's a photo, you can see it here, where you can see a policeman targeting the driver. And some from the pictures I took, the one that you can see here is a policeman trying to aim at the cameraman on top of that vehicle. And so after that is when I decided, I walked towards where the vehicle was. The engine was still running, but the occupants were not there. But I saw my colleagues lying down there, where I saw my colleagues from other station had blood on the chin. I think a tear gas canister hit him at the chin, and that one was so traumatizing even to me.
So what I did is I just pulled and cut that video cable from the camera that was connected to my live broadcast system that was on my back, and then I jumped out of that vehicle like a commando. So you see, like this one here, you see I was picking the live view here at the back. You see?
I've never covered a demonstration that had a lot of tear gas, a lot of where the water cannon was actually spraying the water towards us. It was that moment that one of the journalists actually collapsed on top of the vehicle, so we were struggling to take him down. And then I remember the first tear gas came, hit me, then hit the camera person who was behind us. And before actually I could notice what was happening, the second tear gas, I just had another tear gas coming. Then it actually entered in my chest, because I was wearing a bulletproof. So it was actually hot, so I removed it, and then I threw it, a hit on the right side. So I didn't know what was happening, but I found myself lying down. I was unconscious. I didn't know what happened. I can say I died. To wake up, that's when the other journalists saw that I was unconscious. They rushed towards me. They were almost, I remember it was 3 camera persons. I remember it was the Skani from Ancestor. There was then Kitonga from Citizen. It's when I thought it was this blood that was sprinkled on my shirt. But he was actually telling me, you have also a cut here. So that was when I realized I had a cut. There's an injury here that I got. So it was painful. Actually, I had already swollen. But from there, the journalists who were there, like Mauritius also, they helped me to take me to the hospital, which was nearby.
Raila wore different characters, or I would say Raila wore different characters, depending on the event, depending on the season. For example, during Maandamano, Raila was a fighter. During a youth conference, Raila was a motivational speaker.
Anapeleka kufanyia huduma ya kwanza. Mpira unaendelea. Pana mpira, mpatie Joho. Joho na mpira. Mpira Joho. Enda pande ile ni. Amempatia Imran. Ndio kwa mpira.
What I can say from the journalistic point of view, covering Raila was not easy. And you really need to have a lot of confidence, a lot of courage. If you can ask any journalist who has covered Raila before, you really need to be an experienced person for you to cover him, especially when it comes to protest and demonstration.
The crowd is chanting.
Hey! 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 Mimi sitaki nyinyi wa Kenya mpasuke msanda. mpaka tuamue tutaenda kulia au kushoto. Kulia ni kushoto ni ya njia ya ufisadi. Kulia ni ukombozi. Sawa sawa?
This one we want in Kakamega.
Mchanganyiko. Nataka lero lero ni lero. Lero lero ni lero. Avulanga mkambani mwei.
Indeed, a fantastic piece there by the camera crew on Citizen TV and, of course, the Royal Media Services. And I have to say, this is the best in the industry. In studio, there's Peter Kirui, who has been with us, and, of course, another list of many camera operators that make this broadcast possible. As we end the year, congratulations to them and very well done. We are back in a moment. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Now to our final sports bulletin of the year. There have been major changes in the national women volleyball team in Malkia Strikers, from the appointment of a new technical bench to the selection of brand new squad that went to play in the World Championship in Thailand. And as we conclude the year 2025, we look at the task that new Malkia Strikers coach Geoffrey Omondi has in the journey of rebuilding the team. Lukman Mahmoud has the story.
The year 2025 marked the dawn of a new era for Kenya's women volleyball team, the Malkia Strikers, following a major coaching shake-up by the Kenya Volleyball Federation. After a rigorous recruitment process, Kenya Pipeline head coach Geoffrey Omondi was handed the reign of the 10-time Africa champions, edging out former head coach Japheth Munala and volleyball legend Catherine Mabwi. The appointment ended years of recycling familiar faces and signaled a bold reset for the national team.
Any senior coach at a club level, I believe, should be able to take over Malkia Strikers, because we go through similar training, similar rigorous training, and I believe if you can reach the senior level of any team, it means you have gained the sufficient experience to handle the Malkia Strikers team or any other national team.
Omondi's first major test came with squad selection for the World Championships, and it sparked debate nationwide. In a bold move, several serving stars were left out, as Omondi opted for a youthful team sprinkled with experience. Notable absentees including former captains Massimo and Triza Tuka, the latter having led the team at the 2024 Paris Olympic Games.
Whether we like it, with the time, age catches up with players and speed goes down. What is being played out in the world, there is more of speed and accuracy. So if we can get people who are fast, then let's work on accuracy and other skills. I think our guiding principle is, can we get players who are fast enough, who can adapt to the situation that is out there?
Despite the transition pains, Malkia Strikers delivered a landmark moment at the World Championships, registering their third ever victory with a straight set win over Vietnam in their last Group G match in Phuket, Thailand. The triumph followed losses to former European champions Poland 3-1 and Germany 3-0, and marked just their second win across 7 World Championship appearances, restoring belief in the project.
Down a bit. See, I can say we had an improvement of the last championship we went to. There was a lot of improvement in terms of the Kenyan team in those areas of front court and back court. We were able to do more blocks than we've done before, and we were able to pick more balls at the back court than we've done before. But it's work in progress. It doesn't start at Malkia only, it starts at the clubs. We had a meeting with the coaches and we agreed that if we can go back to our clubs, the coaches were in the national team, if we can go back to our clubs and try and put some of these trainings.
Head coach Geoffrey Omondi noted that for Kenya to catch up with world giants, they must have good facilities which can nurture good players in future.
Well, we need to have more indoor facilities for training, specifically because a larger percentage of the teams are training outdoor. International outdoor volleyball is only for beach or recreational, but in the competitions, there's no indoor volleyball. There's no outdoor volleyball, I mean. Here we do outdoor, but it's just because of lack of facilities.
The tactician has this proposal to the Kenya Volleyball Federation in order to progress.
I put out a proposal to the Kenya Volleyball Federation, NEC, proposing a continuous training. Their promise are that they are looking into it, and it's something they are going to give us a go so that we start continuous training, even if it means twice a week or once a week, so that there's continuity of skill development and teamwork.
With Omondi breathing fresh life into Malkia strikers and opting for fresh starts, fans await to see the progress, with 2028 Olympic Games expected to weigh in the success of the Kenya pipeline tactician. Lukman Mahmoud, Citizen TV.
Mothers in Kariobangi here in Nairobi have joined a taekwondo team to learn the sport for self-defense in their crime-prone area. The more than 20 mothers who run various businesses in the neighborhood are also using the sport for health benefits. The team now wants the government to recognize it as a discipline, same as athletics and football. They are appealing for equipment assistance, which is their major challenge in the growth of the game.
Kuna hali ya uhalifu nyingi sana. Kuna vijana ambao wanapora watu, wanaweza kukupata kwa barabara wakupore. Na kwa vile sisi wengi wetu ni wamama wa biashara, tulijiunga na hii kikundi ili tuweze kujifundisha self defense.
Tuliona tulikuwa na pressure, sukari nini, mtu ako na mafuta. Saa hii tangu nikuje hapa nimepungua sana. Nasikia mwili iko weak, tuko na mabiashara. Mtu akikuletea shida unaweza jikinga.
Katika nchi yetu ile mchezo unaekea sana unachukuliwa kwa uzito ni kama football. Juu ukienda sana unapata football ya wazee, lakini kwa hizi michezo mingine inakuwa ni ngumu. Hichi ndicho kilabu cha kwanza cha wamama cha taekwondo, na ningeuliza kama serikali inaweza shikilia hata hizi michezo zingine ndio pia wamama waweze kujikuza, juu hatuwezi kaa tu mahali moja kwa football na kuna vilabu zingine.
All right, a very important skill for the mothers there. I hope you can learn a skill in 2026 as well. Now, Algeria completed their Group E AFCON matches with a 3-1 win over Equatorial Guinea to collect maximum 9 points ahead of the round of 16.
Musa with the delivery. In it goes, flicked on and flicked in. And Algeria lead 19 minutes on the clock. Another nice turn away from Mascarell and releases Shaibi. Shaibi in an ocean of space. He's got options. And he drives it into the roof of the net. Musa again. Ball in again. Oh! They are scoring every time they come forward. His 7th goal in the tournament. And look at this for a strike from Unsue, absolutely spectacular. Well, where did that come from?
All right, that's it for the news update tonight on the very last day of 2025. But before we go, I want to show you the pictures of the countries that have already crossed over. We saw some of the pictures at the start. Here is how it looked like from the countries like New Zealand, Australia, areas like Taiwan, and they are continuing to cross over to 2026. Have a look and a feel of what has been happening there.